Hello, my name is Taylor Wiedemann, and for my health behavioral change, I decided to change my daily water consumption. This behavioral change took place over the course of 3 weeks and ultimately was meant to increase my water intake overall. The recommended daily water intake as set forth by the Centers of Disease Control changes for each individual. On average, the CDC states that the average American adult female requires about 11.5 cups or 2.7 liters per day. This number may increase or decrease depending on the age and activity level of the individual. So why is water intake so important? Water is essential to body survival and function. According to the family doctor, water is utilized by the body to perform a variety of vital functions, including joint lubrication, healthy body temperature, and proper organ function. Not drinking enough water can lead to dehydration and symptoms ranging from feeling thirsty, feeling dry mouth, drowsiness, to the presence of dark circles under the eyes. It may also lead to more severe symptoms. I have always been aware that a behavioral change was needed for me to start drinking more water. There has been no reason for a lack of my behavioral change other than a lack of motivation. Drinking more water will improve my health overall, but I have been unmotivated to make this change. Upon the start of this behavioral change, I believe I consumed around 3 to 4 cups of water per day. This is well under the recommended amount. I am hoping that by completing this behavioral change that I will gain more energy and see an improvement in my overall health. It was clear to me that I was incapable of completing this behavioral change out of a sheer willpower and motivation. I decided to utilize a series of interventions which aimed at helping me achieve my ultimate goal of increasing my water intake. The first intervention I utilized was the creation of a detailed schedule to aim for reasonable goals and prevent burnout. The second intervention was buying a reusable water bottle to ensure I had access to water and allow me to keep track of my consumption. The last intervention was the implementation of drinking a full glass of water every time I ate a meal or a snack. My goal was to drink at least 2,000 milliliters of water, or 8.45 cups, by the last week of my behavioral change. Here's a complete outline of my behavioral change progression. Here's a direct representation of my schedule and progression during my behavioral change. The first intervention occurred before I started my actual behavioral change. This schedule that I created helped to not only motivate me, but keep me on track for the actual behavioral change. The next intervention was using a reusable water bottle so I could have easy access to drinking water and somewhat keep track of my intake. I used a hydro flask and carried it around with me through my daily activities. I brought it to work, brought it in my car, and would take it with me to places such as the grocery store or to friends' houses. I did not struggle with implementing this intervention into my daily life and was actually surprised at how easy it was, and found myself drinking water more throughout the day when I had my hydro flask with me. The last intervention I utilized was drinking a full glass of water every time I ate or had a snack throughout the day. I found that this intervention was harder for me to remember. However, it became easier as I progressed further into my behavioral change, but it was hard for me to remember it when I first began. My main issue with this behavioral change was feeling unmotivated. I found that referring heavily to the detailed schedule was very useful in keeping me on track. I found using my reusable water bottle to be the easiest part of my behavioral change. Lastly, the point I struggled with the most was drinking with every meal and snack I consumed throughout the day, mainly due to forgetting to complete this intervention. The theories, concepts, constructs, and models studied in this class can be directly applied to this behavioral change. The health belief model is applicable to this behavioral change. This is applicable to my behavioral change because I became aware that I was susceptible for the symptoms of dehydration and was then motivated to make the change and drink more water. The theory of reasoned action is also applicable to this behavioral change. Going into this behavioral change, I had the proper intentions and positive attitudes about the behavior and my capability to make the change. This really influenced my overall success with my behavioral change. Finally, the social cognitive theory is also applicable because I had to demonstrate a high amount of self-efficacy and control. This behavioral change would not have been possible if I was unable to keep myself accountable and on track during the process. In conclusion, I learned a lot of things during this behavioral change. Ultimately, I was able to increase my water intake overall and reach my goal of drinking 8.45 cups. Ultimately, though, I do not think that this is attainable without a detailed schedule. The main thing I will take away is utilizing a refillable water bottle in my daily life. I will also continue to drink water every time I eat a meal. My number one recommendation would be to invest in a great reusable water bottle. I would also recommend setting realistic and manageable goals. Start the process slow to give oneself time to become accustomed to this new behavioral change. By doing so, individuals may be able to have the same success that I did throughout this process.